You're pinned next to the appetizer table in a loud room, nodding along to your fourth conversation about the local weather. Physically, you are standing still. Mentally, you feel utterly exhausted. Society is quick to label this reaction as a social deficit. The common assumption is that if you hate mingling, you lack interpersonal skills, you are antisocial, or you are simply shy. In reality, you are experiencing the rapid depletion of your social battery. It is a specific sensation of mental fatigue that hits when an interaction demands continuous energy without offering anything meaningful in return. Hating small talk is actually a sign of a brain that is intolerant of inefficient data transfer. Your mind is scanning the room for a high-value exchange, a complex thought, a shared interest, or a moment of genuine insight. The environment, however, is strictly offering empty conversational calories. You aren't lacking social skills. Your brain simply demands a higher return on its energy investments. When a coworker asks about your weekend plans, they rarely want a detailed itinerary. Casual chatter is a system of broadcasting mutual safety cues. It is a way for two humans to quickly confirm they are predictable and harmless. Participating in this ritual requires a heavy stack of hidden tasks. You must actively police your tone, manually hold an agreeable facial expression, and carefully repress your personality to fit the accepted script. This diagram illustrates what psychologists call cognitive load. Juggling those subtle social requirements, monitoring pitch, analyzing body language, and filtering responses demands significant processing power from your brain. Maintaining that generic script requires masking your true personality. This constant suppression forces all that incoming data into a tight bottleneck, which creates severe mental friction. For personalities high in openness to experience, a trait defined by a craving for intellectual novelty and complexity, this process is uniquely draining. Because their brains are wired to seek deep patterns, repressing that drive to stay within a shallow script causes the system to redline while offering zero reward. Small talk traps your mind in an exhausting performance. It forces a high-cost expenditure of energy while actively starving you of the emotional payoff required to keep the system running. Compare that to the feeling of diving into a complex debate, a shared passion, or a moment of mutual vulnerability. The moment a conversation shifts from the superficial to the substantial, the requirement to broadcast generic safety cues and police your every word completely vanishes. This shift frees up the cognitive bandwidth previously used to monitor your own behavior. Without the need to filter every thought, energy flows through the system smoothly. The brain responds to this authentic connection with a surge of dopamine and intense intellectual stimulation. The two models operate on opposite economics. Small talk is a high-cost, low-reward system. Deep conversation is a low-cost, high-reward system. When you engage in a subject you actually care about, the interaction does not drain your social battery. It actively recharges it by providing a substantial psychological dividend. If you find yourself dreading the next networking event, you can stop feeling guilty. You are a social optimizer looking for efficiency. But there is an unavoidable reality to human interaction. Small talk is the mandatory toll booth society uses to grant access to those deeper, high-reward connections. You can hack this toll booth by altering the standard script. Instead of asking what someone does, ask why they do it. If someone mentions they work in logistics, asking, "Why did you choose that path?" forces them to drop their rehearsed safety answers. They have to actually think, which immediately pulls them into a state of authentic engagement. Utilizing this pivot allows you to accelerate through the awkwardness. You shorten the exhausting phase of the interaction and move directly to the substance. True human connection is rarely found in the safe shallows. It requires the deliberate courage to move past the weather and dive into the minds of others.